The Film Archive lobby has been kitted out to resemble one of the grand old theaters that were popular in the city, particularly from the 1960s to the 80s. An exhibition there showcases about 130 archival treasures, including 6 larger-than-life-size film posters that harken back to the silver screen's golden era. In bygone days, these hand-painted film posters were hung outside theaters to attract cinema-goers. Color printing techniques have long since made them obsolete.
The paint we used was difficult to apply. It came in powder form. If it rained hard onto the poster, all the faces would start to blur as the colors were washed away. The most difficult part of my work was squatting down and using a spray bottle filled with a transparent glue to safeguard the poster and prevent anyone off. Afterwards, I would feel faint from the fumes. It was a huge job and the most difficult part of the process, so I didn't like rainy days.
Now 67 years old, Chow Keung was a film poster painter. He learned the craft as an apprentice from the age of 13.
Theaters were huge in those days. We painted in the studio behind the screen. I had to draft the artwork onto the canvas for my mentor. He would do the drawings and write the words. That's how I learned to paint the posters.
The giant posters were usually about 54 square meters and consisted of 20 to 32 wooden panels. Painters had to draw a grid on the picture first. Then they would enlarge the grid cells on the panels, sketch the picture, color it in, and write the words.
The audience views the poster vertically, so I draw it vertically, no matter how big it is. When I finish one panel, I move it up and draw another one. I need to match the colors. If I drew every panel separately, the colors would not match.
The posters were mounted outside theaters, usually for a month, until the next new movie was ready to open.
There were so many theaters in Tsim Sha Tsui, Yang Ma Thei and Mong Kok in the 1960s to 80s. If you took a bus or walked along Nathan Road, you could see many giant film posters on both sides, as if you were in a gallery. The audiences chose which films to see based on these posters.
In the 60s, moviegoing was one of the most popular entertainment forms in Hong Kong. In 1969, there were 103 theaters with a total of more than 120,000 seats. Movie viewership was one of the highest in the world. Then there were theaters in far-flung places like Sai Kung and Chung Chau also.
We made a map showing nearly 140 theaters in Hong Kong. We found about 300 old photos of those theaters and information about when they first opened or closed. Someone standing in front of this map could almost certainly find at least one theater in the district in which they lived.
Do you remember these weight scales in old theaters back in the day? Other memorabilia on show includes movie tickets from the 1960s to the 1980s, with chops, handbills, income log sheets, and seating plans from the old theaters.
The most accessible publicity material for the audience was the free handbill, which contained a synopsis of the film. There were also booklets available with more photos and film information. They usually cost about 20 cents, a substantial sum back then. The booklet revenue was usually distributed to the staff as tips. Box office staff would slip the booklet in with the tickets, charging the extra without saying a word. Most people wanted to have one anyway. I hope the exhibition will stir up nostalgia for the good old days of cinema, and that visitors can feel the atmosphere of the old theaters. For seniors, it can bring back memories. Younger people may come to understand why people enjoyed going to see a film and appreciate the little-known players like artist Chow, whose skill brought cinema even greater respect.